I'm going to talk about a topic that has gained a lot of controversy over the years: sex rates in teenagers. My goal today is to inform all of you guys about the disadvantages that come from being sexually active at a young age. Through the generations, the rise of sexual rates has increased drastically, specifically in teenagers, which has also influenced the increases of other events, such as abortions, pregnancies, and STDs. Now, more teenage boys, ironically, feel more pressure than teenage girls. Peer pressure is one of the biggest influences that impact a teen when they decide to lose their virginity. In a novel by Neil Bernstein called How to Keep Your Teenagers Out of Trouble and What to Do If You Can't, he talks about two types of peer pressure, the positive and the negative. And it's important for us to talk to our teens about the positive, because if we go at them in a negative way, then they're going to be more likely to be rebellious and lose their virginity at a younger age. So he talks about 3 ways to instill positive peer pressure to your teen when wanting to get them to wait for that right person. He talks about discussing the risks with your teen, which is really important, because if we go to our teen and talk to them about the negatives that may come from losing your virginity at a young age, then they'll more likely be able to wait, because they'll know about the negatives that come from it. He wants to instill pride into your teen, because if you're negative towards them, then they're not going to want to listen to you. If you instill pride in them and be proud of their decisions, and they have the courage to come to you and talk to you instead of going behind your back and not knowing any of the contraception and ways to prevent pregnancy and abortions and STDs. So instill pride in your child. And also, you want to raise them with values, which is really important, because they're your kid or your brother, your sister, or your sibling. And so if you raise them with values, you know who they are as a person, so you wouldn't want to think of them negatively, which will just make them want to rebel. And yeah. So it ultimately becomes your teen's decision to lose their virginity. But if you do these 3 things, Bernstein says, discussing the risks, instilling pride, and raising them with values, then they're more likely to wait and for that special person. Another thing I want to talk about is abortions. Abortions has been really has had a lot of controversy over the years. But in 2006, 3% of teenagers ages 15 to 19 have had the most abortions and pregnancies. This is shocking to me, because that's our age range. And Sarah Brown from the Guggenheimer Institute talks about the organizations and programs that talk to you about waiting, like contraception that they provide, and one of the best protection, which is abstinence, which is waiting till marriage. Lastly, I want to talk about STDs. The rise of STDs has increased because more teens are losing their virginity at a young age, and they aren't taking the right precautions. So Larissa Hirsch from Kids Health talks to us about unprotected sex and many that lead to STDs. Many organizations and programs have been created for this topic, because STDs is something that you do not want to have. Teen Safe is a great resource for tips and advice and to inform your teen about sex. And overall, I want to just inform you guys that there are disadvantages that come from losing your virginity at a young age, such as abortions, STDs, and pregnancies. So I want to raise awareness of the negative activities, and overall, I just don't want to forbid your teen or your sibling of not being sexually active. I'm not promoting that at all, but I just want them to be aware of what they're getting into, because it is a life-changing decision, and they should be aware of their choices. Thank you.
Good question.
Any questions?
Do you think sex ed should be taught in the high schools to give teens more knowledge of the consequences of having sex?
I think so because teens are more likely to have sex. So if we're being taught about it and like the negativities, then we're more likely to listen because it's interesting and because it informs us as well. Thank you.